Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Zilla with the first look of the adjusted line play report Tuesday evening. Getting straight into it, Thursday night football. We have Tampa Bay going into Buffalo, 8.5-point underdogs. Just kind of looking at the matchups here for those of you who are new, pitting offensive pass protection versus the defensive pass rush. This is basically how many sacks are given up and how many the defense are getting. Green is good, obviously. And then the pass DVOAs, defensive pass DVOA, offense pass DVOA. Kind of think of it in terms of fantasy efficiency or fantasy points per pass attempt. So Tampa Bay not getting a lot of sacks, but they're also not super efficient in terms of fantasy points in the pass game. Buffalo generating some sacks in maybe not typical fashion, but also not super great at stopping the pass. So that's kind of how this looks and operates. Obviously, looking at this, Buffalo number 3 in defensive run stopping, Tampa Bay 32nd. Huge favor for Buffalo, so I wouldn't expect anybody in Tampa Bay to be having a good game on the ground, and that's how this works. We do have offensive pace of play down there, and again, still looking for the game time leading, game tied, and game time trailing stats for when people have the time of possession. All right, so that's Thursday night football. We're just going to roll through every single one of these games this week. Again, no buys this week. New Orleans going into Indianapolis. Got some thunder in the background if the mic's picking it up. Jacksonville heading into Pittsburgh this week. 2.5-point favorites. A lot of low totals, as you will see this week in terms of the Vegas game totals and the low 40s, and some of them even mid 30s this week, which is really rough. Houston heading into Carolina as 3-point road favorites. Kind of interesting there. Number 1 and number 2 picks in the draft in that one. Philadelphia heading into Washington, another away team, 6.5-point favorites. Again, common theme of this week. Vegas game totals will be pretty low, 43.5 there. Los Angeles at Dallas. Potential for some shootout here. In a dome, Dallas, 6.5-point home favorites there. Third best game total on the slate at 45.5. Dallas with the fourth best team implied total this week. New England at Miami. This is the number 1 game on the slate. 47 Vegas game total projected here. Miami number 1 team total on the slate at 28.25 as 9.5-point home favorites over the Patriots, who are one of the worst and 21st best team implied total. Very nasty one here. The Jets, kind of at home or away, however you want to determine it, against the Giants. They are 2.5-point quote-unquote road favorites. Here, Vegas game total, though, very ugly, 36.5. I believe that's tied for the worst on the slate with Atlanta and Tennessee. I think there's 13 total games on the main slate. These are tied for 12th worst, so 12th and 13th here. 2.5-point home favorites, road favorites for Atlanta heading into Tennessee in this one. Getting into the Minnesota Green Bay game, 8th best total out of those 13 games on the slate. Very even up here. Minnesota 1-point road favorites. 43-point Vegas game total. Cleveland heading into Seattle. Seattle 3-point home favorites, so just the standard 3-point home favorite given to Seattle here. It's a very low 40 Vegas game total, 11th on the slate. Seattle at 21.5 team implied total is 11th best. A lot of green on the offensive side for Seattle and defensive side for Cleveland, so very interesting one this week. Kansas City at Denver, probably going to be super popular for DFS, considering all the recent shootouts between these two teams. But it is the second highest game total on the slate at 46. Kansas City, 7.5-point road favorites heading into Denver. So 26.75 team implied total to Denver's 19.25. Kansas City is the second best team total on the slate this week. Cincinnati and San Francisco, potential Super Bowl matchup preview here. San Francisco, 5.5-point home favorites. Fourth best game total on the main slate at 45. Fifth best on the slate in terms of teams for San Francisco there at 25.25. I believe this is the final late game. This is Baltimore heading into Arizona. Again, we have another road team favorites by 8.5 points here. 44-point Vegas game total there, fifth best on the slate. I believe that's tied for fifth best, but we have Baltimore as the third highest team implied total on the slate, main slate this week. And Sunday Night Football, kind of interesting one here. Chicago Bears heading into Los Angeles. Los Angeles 8.5-point home favorites there at 46.5 Vegas game total. So Chargers expected to score 27.5 here. Remember, these are island matchups that you can take advantage of for your DFS purposes with the captain spots. Monday Night Football to wrap it up on this Week 8 first look edition for the Adjusted Line Play Report. Detroit 8-point home favorites on Monday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders. 45.5-point Vegas game total. Detroit 26.75 team implied total. And that's going to do it for the first look of the Week 8 Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and that main slate of DFS action. Certainly go through, pause it where you need to determine what the best matchups are for the week. And hey, if you need to go grab somebody off the waivers, that's really what this first look is for. Hey, I'm deciding between these 2 or 3 people. Who's got the better matchup this week? This will tell you who's got the better matchup. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye.